Hello and welcome to another episode of Sandy Killer Projects. Today we're going to be putting the rough country armored lower door armor kit on the red XJ that we have. This will be the second half video. If you saw the first half video, that video covered specifically the prep work that we did, which was the painting on the lower panels and putting the rear cut fender kit on the XJ. I've actually already done the doors on the other side. So here's the kit completely installed on the other side. That's the rear kit and the door kit. I have a few complaints about this kit already. It's not the highest quality. If there's another company out there that makes this kit, I would suggest looking into them before getting this one. One of the reasons why I'm complaining about it is because this bolt actually is jammed and it is not completely bolted all the way down, and the kit doesn't come with any spare hardware to where I could cut that off and pull the nuts that didn't set all the way out. It only comes with exactly the amount of holes that are necessary to complete the job. Also, these are supposed to be black oxide bolts. As you can see, they're kind of a brown yellow. They definitely aren't black oxide. They don't completely match. And then on top of that, the kit came scratched, which you can see on this back panel, but the other two door panels are also scratched, and these are two completely different kits. They came in different boxes and they both came that way. Here's the other side of the front kit. As you can see, it's all scratched up here, and then the passenger door is all scratched here. This is the way it came from the manufacturer. I don't know if it was messed up in shipping. In my case, I don't particularly care because, as you can see, this truck isn't in the greatest shape looking wise. So before we get started on everything though, I'd like to remind everybody, please like, share, and subscribe. That definitely helps out our channel. Alright, getting started on this kit, they suggest that you mask off the top corners and put a mark at 1/4 inch on each side of the plate. And the reason they ask for that is because the panels don't fit exactly to the door. They come up about 1/4 inch short. So with the panels coming up 1/4 inch short, you want to line them up with those marks, set the plate on here, and then you're going to drill the two sides. The bit that's supposed to be used to drill through the door is a W bit. Before you make any drilling, make sure that the windows are all rolled up. If they are not rolled up, when you drill through the door panel, you will punch through the mechanism for the glass or even the glass itself. So with the kit on here, you're going to line up your plate with these two marks, and then you're going to drill the outer two holes and set your nut certs in those. Okay, I now have the two hanger holes drilled in either side of the lower section of the door. It recommends that you use either a 25/64 drill bit for these holes or a W bit. I'm using a W bit. Either way, it's tough to keep it lined up without having used a centering punch, so either use a centering punch or pilot drill them. I pilot drilled them with the 5/32 drill bit. Alright, so once you have your holes in place, you need to set your nut certs or nut inserts, they go by both names, in place. Once, to do that, they have you make this little setup here. So they give you one 1/4-20 bolt and then a 5/16 oversized bolt, and then a washer to go underneath it. You take that and you set it all onto there and screw the nut cert down onto the bolt. When you have that, you take this and you insert it, but as you can see, there's resistance and it doesn't go quite in to the hole. So you have to bang it down into the hole with the hammer. Okay, so you take that setup, you gently tap it down into the hole so that it still has resistance on the side of the metal, because that's part of what helps the nut cert pull up. So what they say to do is take a 1/2 inch wrench and put it onto this bottom bolt and then drive this down with a 7/16 wrench. The problem is, once it starts building resistance, this thing will start grabbing the sides of the hole and spinning. Once you open up the sides of the hole too much, the nut cert doesn't want to get to where it'll deform and crush up against the steel in the back. So what I've been doing is I've been using a ratchet wrench backed up with the 1/2 inch wrench on the nut down here. That gives me enough, in most cases, to get the nutsert to draw up. There have been instances, because these things don't go in the best way, where I've had to take this off and put another 1/4-20 threaded bolt onto it and jam all of it in there to get it to deform, and then once it deforms, taking it all back off and putting this setup back together and then driving it down with the ratchet. Okay, so as you can see there, the nutsert is pulled all the way up. This is what the standard one looks like before. See how there's a difference in how deep the threads are sitting in the back? This is what causes the nutsert to actually install itself to the sheet metal and allow your panels to stay and hold and not pull out. You need to make sure that when you do it, it binds all the way up as far as it'll go. Otherwise, your panel is likely to come off easily because the nutsert isn't set and it'll pull through the door. Alright, so as you can see, I now have the panel hanging on there. The bolts are not in and tight, they're not set, they're just on there. This allows me to line up the placement for the upper 2 holes. It also, at the same time, wants you to drill the bottom 4 holes. The other thing is that it suggests is you can lay a layer of tape all the way across here if you're worried about the paint underneath getting messed up as you drill the holes. As you can see, I've already taken the tape off. I've already got my marks worked out because of the holes already being set for the 2 edges. I know exactly where the panel is going to sit. So now I need to mark these holes, all 4 on the bottom and the 2 that are left on the top. Now, the instructions for this thing say drill the rest of your holes. It doesn't specifically say put W bits or not in the top and the bottom. The top should definitely be the W bits. Based on how this kit went with the first one, because with the other door, I ended up drilling these with 1/4 inch holes, and the reason for that is because the hole ends up becoming so wide that the nut that you put on the back of these bottom ones does not stay on there, and you end up having to washer back everything. So if you use a 1/4 inch bit, it'll punch just big enough of a hole to get the bolt through it, and then you can get a nut on the back of it. Okay, so here it is with all the holes drilled into the door. I put my W bit 25/64 holes up here, and my 1/4 inch drills down here. The one thing I do want to mention with these door holes, on the inside, you want to make sure that your holes are far enough down off of this ledge. If you don't get them far enough down, when you put the bolt through the plate and through here, when you go to put the nut onto it, you'll run into the bottom crease of the door. So this line right here needs to be about in the same spot that you see it here, partway through the fold in the door, and then a little ways away from the top of the crease on the bottom of the door. Alright, so at this point I've mocked up the plate. The plate is sitting in position where it should go. I recommend that you do this before you decide that you're going to set everything down. The reason for this is because everything was lined up, but this one and this one were off just a hair, which is the exact same problem that I had with the other door. I could hand start everything, but I couldn't get them to go down once I put a wrench on it, and the one in this position on the other door got jammed in the nutsert. Okay, then the bottom holes, especially since you drilled them smaller than what may or may not be recommended by rough country, I would put your bolts and your nuts on this loose, just so that you can make sure that everything lines up where it's supposed to go beforehand, so that everything is where you want it. Then take all these off one by one, and I would put some 242 Loctite on them just to make sure that they don't move. So when I'm done with this, the plate will be on and set. Alright, so the door panel is completed. If you're wondering what needs to be used to put down the bolts, it is a 4mm, and as I mentioned in my last video, all I have is a IKEA furniture 4mm, because my normal ones are at work, and for the bolts on the bottom, the nuts on the back side, they take a 7/16. Okay, the kit recommends that you take black silicone sealant and put it all around the top, bottom, and sides of the plate. I recommend doing the top and each of the sides. You need the bottom open in case you actually do get water in there. It has some place to run out. If you seal it completely, you're just going to build rust in between. So this door is done. We'll start working on the next one. This plate is going to go very similarly to the front plate. You're going to put a piece of masking tape on the front and back of the door, make a mark at 1/4 inch, and hold it in place. The difference between this and the front doors is the front doors tell you to put a hole for either side. This kit, or this part of the kit, tells you to do the center hole and then hang it and then get your plate lined up for your markings on your top and bottom holes. Alright, so the point I'm at, I've drilled and set the middle nutsert and put the plate on. Now you just set it where you want it, and then you mark your 5 other holes. Remember, the bottom holes get drilled to 1/4 20. One more complaint about this kit is there's supposed to be 2 more nutserts, one more for the top and the top that's backed by the fender flare. That is the last nutsert, which means I'm going to put one here, then I'm going to have to drill a 1/4 hole here, and I'm going to have to pull the door panel off and put a nut on the back of it. This should not be like this. Like I said, these kits aren't super expensive, but this is shameful. Scratched up plates, missing parts, not enough parts for if you make a mistake. I definitely wouldn't recommend anybody else buying this kit. I would try to find something better. So next I'm going to drill all the holes, and when I put that one together it's going to be a huge pain because I got to pull the door panel off now. Alright, so I've set the other nutsert. Should have been able to set a nutsert here. I was not able to. This hole is just drilled for 1/4. I'm going to put a nut on the back of it. These already have the nuts on the back of it. Because I have the Bushwhacker fender flares, I have to mock up where the fender flare is going to go so that I can drill a hole in here for the screw for the flare to go in. So I'm mocking it all up. I'm going to pull the plate off, and then I'm going to drill where I've marked for the fender flare. Once that's done, I'll take the flare, I'll take the armor plate, put it all back on solid, and put the bolt holes back in for here. Alright, bolts are all set, 242, nuts tightened on the bottom, 4 mils on the front, 7/16 wrench on the back for the 1/4 20s. I pulled off the interior door panel, stuck my hand in there and got a nut on the back of this one. Panel is RTV black silicone sealed. I drilled a 3/16 hole through the bottom of the fender flare and into the door to give this something to thread into. That is threaded, flares are down, everything on this panel is complete. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for part 2 of this video. If we were able to help you with something, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, even if it's just entertaining. As you can see, panels are done in all 3 positions. The rear is the first video, so if you're looking for those, watch episode 1, and that is episode 2. So, thanks for watching.